Well, hello everyone. Those who will eventually join in with this live podcast. This is something totally different for me to do. I've experimented with live streaming and a couple of other of my channels. This is the first time on Apologetics Advocates, and I'm actually going to be working on some things right now. I just got through, took some time, recorded 8 or 9 actually episodes of my Daily Visits with God podcast. They're recorded now and they're ready for me to upload onto Substack, so I'm going to do that. I have a couple of short videos that I'm going to upload onto one of my channels that has to do with my living retired, Marvin McKenzie, retired, living here in Republic, Washington. I've got a couple of things like that I'm going to upload. And while I'm going to do it, I'm just going to be live here and see if there is anybody who wants to come on once and ask questions or whatever. I am Marvin McKenzie. I am, have 42 years experience as a pastor, and as a Bible college executive vice president, 2 different Bible colleges that were national ones that had students from around the country and even around the world. And then also we operated our own local church Bible college when I pastored in Puyallup, Washington. We did that for 25 years. I write books, more than 100 books that are Bible study and other things of that nature, Bible study or Bible-centered lessons. I've also written a few fictions that are based around what I know about some pastor friends of mine. Rather than trying to write an actual biography of them, I just outlined the facts that I know of them and then wrote fictional books about them. It was easier than trying to get the facts straight on everything in their lives. And so it's just a kind of a fun little project. We've got a dog, a yellow lab that up here in Republic, Washington, and I've written a number now of children's books that are just meant to be fun. Larry, my dog's name is Cola, but I call him Larry in these little children's books. And so we've got Larry Moves to Republic, and Larry Visits the Farm, and Larry Likes the Snow, and Larry Builds a New House, so things like that. Just building books like that. And so hello there, David and David Jr., Trina. So hello, and Alex. And so I am going to be doing some work here while I'm online. What I have found is that I'm not really good. Hello there, AG5518. I have found that I'm not good at answering questions, looking at the screen and answering questions and talking, responding to the comments and doing work, especially if I'm trying to teach a lesson. So I'm choosing not to do that. I'm choosing to stay busy, but not to teach a lesson. I'm going to actually excuse me for just a minute. I'm seeing all of these hellos and all of that. I'm going to actually take a second here and join into this live discussion on my iPad, using my iPhone as my camera right now. But I'm going to join into the live discussion on my iPad so that I can see your responses and your questions and so forth a little bit easier. So give me just a moment. I'll get online there. I see where you said hi. Thank you, each one of you, for doing that. So far, people have been kind about what they say. Can I be the first star? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even know what that means. So I don't even know what that means. Anyway, so let me get all this set up here. Home. Account. Looks like it right there. Close. All right, so that I'm set up so that I'm watching it over on that screen as well. And so anyway, as I said, what I'm doing right now is I have recorded 9 copies of my 9 episodes of my Daily Visit with God podcast. I actually publish those on Substack. I use a Substack account to publish it, and then it goes out from there. It goes on to Apple Podcasts and some other venues as well. Well, thank you for liking the stream. Thank you. So far, all of the comments have been kind. I have noticed in a couple of the other channels where I've tried to do this, people will say things that are nasty or vulgar or something like that, or anti-Christian. And if there's some people who ask questions and that kind of thing, I'm fine with that. I really don't care for vulgarity, though, profanity, that kind of a thing. So I'm going to go to work here, and I'll just check on here. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide the community guidelines. I'm looking at a screen over there to see what it says. The words are larger over there. But I do thank you for joining right now and coming online. And I'll just see what I can do here to get all these things worked out. Let's see here. So I've got right now my iPhone is my camera that I'm recording live. I've got an iPad over here that's on that I'm joined in so that I can watch it from there. And then I've got my MacBook in front of me. That's what I'm going to actually do my work from. And as I said, what I have difficulty teaching a lesson and trying to respond to questions. And so I'm just going to try not to deal with that right now. But I am here. I am available. I'm going to do my best to see the questions, see what you write, and then to answer those questions, answer any questions you have, especially Bible questions would especially be appropriate, and something that I would be more than happy to try to answer any questions that you'd have about Bible subjects. All right, so I'm going to get this all lined up here. Newest first. It doesn't look like I've had any newer or more recent comments. So it looks like Boogie21YE said hi, and I like the stream, and that's kind of where we're at right now with that. Got this set up, newest first. Okay. You're not going to really be able to hear what I'm doing. What I'm at this point going to be doing is taking each of my daily Visit with God podcasts. My podcasts are just about 2 minutes long each, and so I will upload them onto Substack, and at the same time I'll cut and paste the titles and so forth into their appropriate slots. I am uploading right now episodes 1360 to 1368. So I have made over 1,300 episodes now, daily Visit with God episodes. I've been doing this through transitions in ministry that had to do with my wife's my son becoming the pastor here in Republic, Washington, and our subsequent stepping down as pastor, me stepping down as a pastor, and then moving here to Republic, Washington, and moving to Republic, Washington. Let me see, I got that. I see I can't even talk and do this at the same time, hardly. My wife at one point during this, for 1 full year, my wife battled cancer, and so I continue to make these video podcasts, these audio podcasts, even through the cancer. Two people what? And let's see, save that. Yeah, so my wife got cancer, and we also sold our house, moved into a fifth wheel, And it says two people. Right now, what my screen says that I have 7 people watching, and so far the highest number I've seen so far as we're doing this has been 15. And so, but again, a good name for a boat. What is that? Oh, ask a question, add a sticker. A good name, what would be a good name for a boat? That looks to me like that was something that YouTube put on there, all on their own. All right. Podcast, new episode, 60, now 61. I don't know who will stay on here with me or not. And again, some people coming and going. I have never done this for any, well, I have actually done a live like this on, especially on Substack, while I've made it, I think 4 times now, where I go on live while I'm actually recording my Daily Visit with God podcast. And I get some interaction a little bit, but not very much. I've done a few lives on my channel that's just about retired and living here in Republic. So I have a few people that get on there, but some of those have been kind of snarky and rotten sounding sometimes. And this is the first time though I'm actually going to try to just stay on for an extended period of time while I'm working. I don't want to just stand here and stare at my screen. I'll answer any questions that are the best that I can, keep an eye on it, and answer any questions that come up. But I'm gonna use the time to actually work as well. So. My son became the pastor of Liberty Baptist Church here in Republic, Washington about 2 years ago. Republic is a small community, less than 1,000 people in town. We live in, it's one of the largest counties in the state of Washington, but the population is only of 7,000 people in the whole county, and 7,000 people in the whole county, not a stoplight in town. We have more, in the county I should say, we have more turkeys and deer than we have cars on our roads. But the church here is a dynamic one in a small town. I think there's 80 people or so, 80 to 100 that come on Sunday mornings. The pastor who founded this church 29 years ago is a friend of mine. I remember him being on deputation. His name is Greg Perkins. I remember him being on deputation and raising support to come and plant this church. And he's done really good work. One of the members of the church here that's been here for a very long time actually was one of the state representatives out of this county, and attended my church in Puyallup during session when he was in the Olympia during session. And I was talking to him just shortly after I moved here, and he said Pastor Perkins built this church by sheer stubbornness. He just stayed through thick and thin, through trouble, trials, poverty and difficulties, and he just kept building the church. And it's a sound, solid, good independent Baptist church. I'm not a great multitasker, so talking and working at the same time are not my absolute strengths. I record my Daily Visit with God podcast once a week, either on Tuesday or Wednesday, typically. And I try to record at least 8. And that means that I'm one more than a week, so I get ahead, I build up some, because I travel as a preacher. And during those weeks, I can't upload anything, and so I have to have things in reserve, so I've got them set up and ready to go for those times that I am out of town. It means that I don't really ever get way ahead. God kind of took care of us for a period of time. Just before my wife found out she had cancer, I was about 2 months ahead, and that was enough. I would still record sometimes, but the cancer, because of the treatments and things like that, that would just take so much time that I ate up those 2 months of being ahead in pretty short order, really. That's going to be 5. So usually, if I can be 2 weeks ahead, that's just about as good as it's going to get for me. $363 right now. I can look at it from here and find that confirmed too. So right now it looks like there are 2 people watching. And once again, I am more than willing to answer questions. I'll stop work and talk to you. If you have questions or anything biblically related, mostly, I am a retired pastor. If you have anything you want to know, some of my opinions on, I don't call it retired as much as retreaded. My opinions and experience being no longer a full-time pastor, I would be happy to talk to you about those things. My podcasts come out every morning. They drop or go live 6:30 each morning. Daily Visit with God podcasts. What's your favorite season? That looks like those are questions that are being asked, being suggested, I think, by YouTube. So it says something about a sticker. Maybe the next one that comes up, I'll attempt to see what I can do with it and see what it is. When I stepped down from pastoring, I really had two major goals. And the first one being to attempt to be an encouragement to other pastors. After spending so many years in the ministry, knowing the challenge that being in the ministry can be, I just want to be an encouragement and a blessing to guys. 6, 7. Churches need to be encouraged as well, supported. God's Institute to do His work is the local church, and I believe that local church is always a Baptist church. And I don't believe that just out of preference. I have considerable study spent to learn those things, to come to that conviction. But sometimes the reason a pastor needs encouraged is because the church is giving them a fit. So the pastor's job is to provoke and to push and to guide the church into doing the will of God. But we are human beings and we struggle with doing the will of God. And so a church can oftentimes just be filled with people that are just resisting, kind of like, sheep. And so the shepherd is trying to get them out into the pasture, and they don't want to go out in the pasture. Or it's time to get them back into the fold, and they don't want to go into the fold. And so the shepherd is constantly struggling with it. So churches need encouragement. Pastors need encouragement. Sometimes the encouragement that the pastor needs is encouragement to keep going, even though that he's striving with the church, the congregation, and there are times, of course, when the congregation is thinking, the church is thinking, man, we are struggling with the pastor, and but I have decided, I've taken the position that, at least in my ministry, I'm going to take the tack to always try to encourage the pastor and encourage, if I can do anything with the church at all, it is to encourage the church to be an encouragement to the pastor. Our pastors sometimes really messed up? Of course they are. And I think when that happens, most of the time, I don't think those pastors are going to ask for my help. I'm not going to be able to be an encouragement. In my mind, what I think it will happen is I try to be an encouragement, and I want to be able to do it through no financial obligation of the church or the pastor whatsoever. So my wife and I have, because of Social Security, we have money to live on. But in order to do ministry, that's where selling my books, and if I was able to monetize enough with YouTube to actually make some money to be able to add to my income, that would be wonderful, because it would give me the resources to be able to minister to these pastors. And anyway, so what I want to do is I would show up at a church. I will show up at a church unannounced. I'm not asking for preaching. I'm going to take care of my own housing, my own traveling expenses, and all those sorts of things. And I've been doing this, by the way, already. take care of all of my own expenses to best of my ability. I'm going to do those sorts of things. Then I'll, when I get there, what I say, not trying to preach or anything, I just want to sing Isaiah this. I want to sing loud and say amen a lot. Listen to them preach. I always appreciated when a pastor come to hear me preach. I know they wouldn't have to do that, so I'd listen to them preach. And I want to listen to them preach, say amen, sing loud at the congregational songs, that kind of thing, and just be a blessing like that. And I think sometimes what will happen is it's obvious that there's a connection and that my encouragement is real and needed. And it might be that there are times when even if I stay a week or two, it would be helpful. There'll be times when they'll be appreciative that I'm there, but there's no need for me to stay there. There'll be times where there's just no connection, and so we'll just move on from there. It's okay, and that's good. So anyway, those are some of the things I'm thinking that way, and just do that ministry, but then if I'm going to be an encouragement to the pastor, I want to be an encouragement to my pastor, who happens to be my youngest son as well. And so just kind of be here as much as possible. I want to be here at least 3/4 of the year here in Republic, so I can be a part of my church and part of my, and be a minister in my church. And then, and what that does, it affords me a great deal of time to work on my books. I've written over 100 books, and I've got that are already published on Amazon. I've got several of them that I'd like to do some polish and refining on, the ones that are already on Amazon. But I've got well over 100 more that are not ready to be put on Amazon and published yet, and just working on those. And then also doing online recording, especially with Bible studies and apologetics and that kind of work. And so those are the things that I am involved in right now. All right, next one of these. So 65, over to 65. Podcast. My daily visits with God have been out of the Gospel according to John. How these come about, back in about 2005, I began, as I'd read my scriptures, read the Bible each day, I just read until God spoke to me. And then after that passage came, there was like, what? Look at that. I would stop there and write that verse down, and then I would spend some time studying it, maybe look up the words, memorize the passage, meditate on it, write down some things about it. I look some commentaries maybe, and I would just put together a study, a small study. It wouldn't be a long one, just a small study. And then I don't know, about 2017 or 18, something like that, is when I started. So every day I do that, 7 days a week, every day. About 2018, I started podcasting, and I started collecting those because I read my Bible through. So after many years of doing this, I have almost written a full commentary of the whole Bible, because I've gone through my Bible 3 or 4 times a year. Genesis all the way through the book of Revelation. I read it 3 or 4 times a year. Actually, I read the New Testament through 3 times a year, the Old Testament through about 2 times a year. And so I've got lots of material. Well, so then I started podcasting. What I do is I collect them together by book, and then I just go through every one of the podcasts that are in that book. And so I've been doing this with the Gospel of John. Now it's been several months that we've been going through this, the Gospel of John, and getting close to the end of it. It won't be too long before I finished it. I'm still praying about which book of the Bible I'm going to go through next, and work with my daily visits. But if you have some opinions of that, I would be more than happy to listen to those and see what you've got to say. All right, so I got that ready. Sent to everyone in a month. Got that wrong. That's why. That's supposed to be. There we are. That would be better. Let's see what happens. Let's favorite. Yeah. All right. In 11 days, that looks better. I don't know what the star number 1, star number 3, star number 2 on some of these that I'm seeing happens to be about. I don't know what any of those things mean in that, on your comments. Try to be very selective. I've got several different channels now. And this channel, Apologetics Advocates, let me see, March. I don't want March. I don't know what's happening with that. It does that. This channel is supposed to be about answering hard questions or things that are distinctive to independent Baptist people, kind of what I want to deal with. And so doing what I'm doing right now probably doesn't fit that niche exactly, other than I am open to answering any questions that any of you might have on those subjects. I have another channel that is designed to be more pastoral. I do very short Bible studies. I have a channel where I'm recording Bible Institute lessons. I have a channel where I just deal with, being a believer, living that's a retired pastor living on his property in Republic. And then I have a channel that is fictional, mostly fictional, or small little lessons, maybe even lessons for that would be good for parents to send with their kids on, that have to do with American history. I've got a whole series that I want to do on American history. Let's see here, 67. I've got a preacher friend who does live broadcasts on YouTube. No, Facebook. And I see oftentimes on his, he just does, in fact, he does his every day, and I believe even multiple times a day. I get notices from him and watch every once in a while. And he'll have 2 or 3 people that come on as he's recording his podcast. But he keeps doing them daily, day after day after day after day, and people can come in and watch. And it seems like, the residual after this, when it's not live, can be pretty impactful. So that might be the case with these too. Let me see if that's what I want to do. I'm absolutely sure I'm where I want to be with that. Yeah. 68. I do find that intriguing that when I first went live, there was a lot of activity. And then since then, it seems like you'd see people jumping on and on and off, on and off all the time. Doesn't seem like that is what goes on. Yeah, if it get notices, you would think that just constantly be getting notices and someone would come on, and maybe different people all the time, but it is became. Now I'm going to listen to a video to see if I think I even want to have it on. Now, downloads. I recorded some stuff earlier, and I want to hear. I just want to hear if it's post-worthy. This has to do with managing diabetes.
32 grams of protein and 3 grams of carbohydrates. I'm doing these because of my diabetes. I still do not take medicine.
Two people on right now.
For my diabetes, I'm able to manage it with diet and exercise, but because of my age and all those things, that as you get older, they say you start losing muscle strength and all that. Even though I do exercise every day, they say you lose muscle strength and muscle mass. And so the doctor's telling me that I need not just to exercise now, but I also need to make sure that I'm getting lots and lots of protein, about 100. And these drinks are an easy way to get some of that. I have to do it earlier on in the day just to make sure that it doesn't mess with my fasting glucose. In the morning time when I wake up is when my glucose levels will be the highest.
Yeah, I think I can put that on. I'm looking at when I recorded my Daily Visits with God podcast on Substack. Substack did live. Substack always offers me a series of shorts. It creates those shorts, and I'm looking at those. That it created one because I explained about why I was drinking a protein drink, and it created one of those. I put it on my retirement page, but then it gave me several of them shorts now that I think what I'm going to do with them is I'm going to put them on this Apologetics Advocates page. So what that means is right now I want to end this live stream. So I want to thank all of the folks that have come on and been a part of this as we went through it. Thank each one of you. And then at this point, I will say goodbye.